After the battle for the D-tier embryonic pill in the cave mansion of the ancient god Tuosh, Hun Tiandi obtained the pill and subsequently went into seclusion to refine it. After half a year of waiting, Jiyu Yuan and Zhu Kun suddenly sensed an aura within the blood clouds that made even their souls tremble. They immediately realized that Hun Tiandi had successfully advanced to the legendary Dodi realm. At the same time, Hun Tiandi's mighty voice echoed across the entire Central Plains, announcing that he had finally become a god. The Alliance headquarters instantly fell into chaos. The Alliance army quickly assembled into formation, displaying far greater discipline and coordination than before. Although their organized response reassured the people somewhat, everyone understood that the situation was extremely dire. Jiyu Yuan, Zhu Kun, Yan Jin, and Lei Ying all knew that if Hun Tiandi could not be stopped, the entire Do-Chi continent would fall under the rule of the Hun clan and countless lives would be destroyed. When asked about Xiao Yan, Jiyu Yuan admitted that there was still no news from him. He explained that Xiao Yan was their last hope, and if they summoned him before he completed the ancient god's inheritance and reached the Do-Di level, it would only ruin their final chance of victory. The leaders reluctantly agreed and prepared to fight to the death. They had already secretly sent away part of their younger generation so that the bloodlines of their clans could survive even if they perished. After an hour of oppressive silence, the blood clouds finally parted. The massive army of the Hun clan emerged from within the clouds and surrounded the alliance's defensive barrier. Then a blood lotus descended before the army, carrying Hun Tiandi himself. His appearance and overwhelming aura filled the world with a bloody scent so intense that blood rain began to fall from the sky. Hun Tiandi looked at Jiyu Yuan and calmly declared that he had already won. Jiyu Yuan condemned him for violating the ancient agreement that wars between the ancient clans should not involve ordinary people. But Hun Tiandi only laughed. He proclaimed that rules were made by the strong and that the entire Do-Chi continent now belonged to the Hun clan. He considered himself a being beyond the world, someone who could no longer be judged or punished by anyone. To demonstrate the power of a Do-Di, Hun Tiandi casually waved his hand. The bloody rain gathered into an extremely thin red line that sliced through space itself. The enormous defensive barrier protecting the alliance instantly exploded without even producing a ripple. Everyone watched in despair as their final line of defense was effortlessly destroyed by a single casual attack. Despite knowing they stood no chance, Jiyu Yuan ordered the entire alliance army into formation. The countless experts released all of their Do-Chi, and Jiyu Yuan gathered their strength into the gigantic Jiyu-Di mirror. After sacrificing his own essence blood, he unleashed a terrifying light pillar hundreds of thousands of feet long that tore through the sky and was visible throughout the Central Plains. Everyone believed that even Hun Tiandi would struggle against such an attack. However, Hun Tiandi simply smiled. He raised a finger and lightly pressed against the incoming beam. With a single word, "Shatter," the enormous pillar suddenly stopped. Under everyone's horrified gaze, the seemingly unstoppable attack collapsed inch by inch and completely disintegrated into countless particles of light. Looking down at the devastated and pale-faced Jiyu Yuan, Hun Tiandi calmly repeated that he was the final victor of this war. As blood rain fell from the sky, the entire world seemed to be dyed crimson. Witnessing Hun Tiandi casually destroy their attacks, even Jiyu Yuan felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Only now did he truly understand the terrifying power of a Do-Di. The gap between them was not merely one of strength but of existence itself, like the difference between heaven and earth. Hun Tiandi looked down at Jiyu Yuan with blood-red eyes and mocked him for dreaming of becoming the world's savior with such insignificant power. With a casual wave of his hand, he released a streak of blood light that swept across the mountains below. Countless experts were instantly slaughtered, unable to resist or escape. Everyone's expressions changed drastically at this cruel display of power. Declaring that the Alliance army was nothing more than ants, Hun Tiandi reminded Jiyu Yuan that he had once given him a chance to stand on his side. But Jiyu Yuan had rejected it. Feeling that nothing in the world could challenge him anymore, Hun Tiandi decided to end everything. He slowly lowered a finger, causing the entire world to tremble. Endless bloody energy gathered at his fingertip before condensing into a terrifying beam of blood light that shot directly toward Jiyu Yuan. Alarmed, Jiyu Yuan immediately tried to mobilize the natural energy of heaven and earth to defend himself. But Hun Tiandi suddenly smiled and softly uttered a single word: halt. The moment that word was spoken, Jiyu Yuan was horrified to discover that he had completely lost his connection with the natural energy of the world. Since a Dou Sheng's greatest strength came from controlling the energy of heaven and earth, this was equivalent to losing one of his arms in battle. Despite his shock, Jiyu Yuan reacted quickly. He pushed his Dou Qi to its limit and unleashed one of his strongest techniques: the Gud Shattering Black Finger. A gigantic finger covered in mysterious patterns formed and slammed into the incoming bloodlight. However, the collision lasted only an instant. The seemingly indestructible giant finger shattered with ease, and the blood beam struck Jiyu Yuan directly. He spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered backward, only managing to remain standing because Zhu Kun caught him from behind. Hun Tiandi calmly explained that a Dou Di was the ruler of the world itself, making it impossible for others to manipulate natural energy in his presence. He then raised his hand toward the blood clouds above. The clouds churned violently, and a gigantic blood-red lightning bolt descended from the sky, carrying enough destructive force to annihilate everything in its path. Realizing the danger, Jiyu Yuan immediately shouted for the alliance army to form up and attack. Under his command, the combined Dou Qi of countless experts gathered into an enormous energy dragon that charged toward the lightning. The two gigantic forces collided in the sky, illuminating the entire Central Plains. Unfortunately, the clash did not last long. The blood lightning forcefully tore apart the giant energy dragon. As the dragon shattered, countless experts of the Alliance army simultaneously turned pale and spat blood. The backlash had injured nearly everyone involved. One man alone was suppressing the entire Alliance army. The power of a Dou Di had reached a level beyond imagination. And no matter how many experts gathered together, they seemed utterly insignificant before such absolute strength. Jiyu Yuan and Zhu Kun exchanged looks and saw the same shock in each other's eyes. Although they had expected a Dou Di to be terrifying, they never imagined that even with all the strongest experts of the continent gathered together, they would not be able to stop Hun Tiandi for even a short time. Yan Jin could only bitterly admit that they had almost no chance of victory. Even so, Jiyu Yuan gritted his teeth and declared that as long as they could hold on until Xiao Yan appeared, they still had hope. The others could only smile bitterly because, against Hun Tiandi's absolute power, all of their efforts seemed meaningless. At that moment, Zi Yan suddenly spoke excitedly. Through the dragon seal she had left inside Xiao Yan's body, she could feel that the seal's pressure was becoming increasingly powerful, far surpassing that of an ordinary peak Dou Sheng. Everyone's spirits immediately rose because this was the best news they had received since the battle began. Zhu Kun's eyes flashed with determination. Since Xiao Yan was nearing his breakthrough, they had to stop Hun Tiandi a little longer. Without waiting for anyone's reply, Zhu Kun shot into the sky and transformed into his true form. An unimaginably huge ancient void dragon appeared above the battlefield, its overwhelming dragon might dispersing some of the blood-filled atmosphere. Seeing the gigantic dragon, Hun Tiandi became slightly interested and even offered Zhu Kun a chance to become his mount. Promising to protect the ancient void dragon tribe if he submitted, Zhu Kun answered with a destructive purple gold beam. Hun Tiandi merely shook his head at this stubbornness. With a casual wave of his sleeve, he completely dispersed the attack and appeared above Zhu Kun like a ghost. He gently stomped downward, instantly shattering countless dragon scales and causing dragon blood to pour like waterfalls. The immense pain caused Zhu Kun to roar furiously and struggle in the sky, his gigantic body shattering space itself with every movement. However, Hun Tiandi remained expressionless. He stomped a second time, violently sending the colossal dragon crashing into the mountain range below and creating an enormous crater. Seeing even Zhu Kun defeated so effortlessly, despair filled the hearts of everyone in the alliance. To them, the battle had become completely hopeless. Hun Tiandi slowly returned to his blood lotus and looked at the countless terrified faces below. He found the entire battle utterly boring. Then he slowly rose higher into the sky and announced that he disliked the name Central Plains and that this land no longer deserved to exist. He raised his hand toward the blood clouds and swung it downward. The endless blood clouds instantly churned violently, and countless blood-red lightning bolts carrying terrifying destructive power descended from the heavens. The entire Central Plains shook as the earth split apart and mountains collapsed. Every location struck by the lightning exploded into ruin. Even areas hidden deep underground. Around the Alliance headquarters, millions upon millions of people were instantly reduced to bloody explosions. Blood covered the land, and countless survivors fled in panic toward the Alliance's stronghold. The scene resembled the end of the world itself. Jiyu Yuan watched helplessly as experts of the Alliance were struck by the lightning and transformed into clouds of blood. Their bodies and souls completely destroyed. Meanwhile, Hun Tiandi stood amidst the endless blood lightning and laughed wildly like a demon that had descended to exterminate the world. Jiyu Yuan immediately ordered all forces to retreat and defend. But the Alliance had already suffered unimaginable casualties. Even Zi Yan and the others could not stop themselves from feeling despair. Kai Lin tightly held Xiao in her arms, preventing her daughter from witnessing the massacre. Trembling, Xiao softly asked whether her father would come. Suppressing her fear, Kai Lin gently replied that Xiao Yan would definitely appear because he still had to protect her. The moment those words left her mouth, an astonishing aura suddenly erupted from Xiao's body, instantly surpassing even Kai Lin's. At the same time, the auras of Xiao Zan, Xiao Dane, Xiao Li, and all members of the Xiao clan suddenly soared. Jiyu Yuan's eyes widened in shock as he realized that the Dodi bloodline within the Xiao clan had awakened. At that very moment, brilliant flames suddenly spread across the sky and formed an enormous fire barrier covering a radius of 5,000 kilometers around the Sky Mansion Alliance. The destructive blood lightning struck the barrier repeatedly. But instead of breaking through, it was completely burned into nothingness. The endless flames then gathered together and transformed into a human figure standing proudly in the sky. Seeing this figure, Jiyu Yuan and the others felt as if they had survived a disaster. After enduring despair and watching the world collapse around them, their final hope had finally arrived. Xiao Yan had emerged from seclusion and stepped onto the battlefield. And everything now depended entirely on him. Xiao Yan suddenly appeared within a sea of brilliant flames that spread across the sky like a fiery cloud. The terrifying heat instantly evaporated the blood sea below and formed a protective barrier around millions of people. When everyone recognized the familiar figure standing within the flames, the entire battlefield erupted in excitement. Countless people shouted his name, cheered wildly, and even knelt in gratitude. After enduring countless battles under his leadership, the Alliance members regarded Xiao Yan as an almost divine figure who had never failed them. Even those who did not belong to the Sky Mansion Alliance felt hope return upon his arrival. As the flames gradually faded, Xiao Yan's figure became clear. Dressed in black robes, he quietly stood in the sky, appearing completely ordinary and without any visible dou-qi fluctuations. However, every true expert could sense the unimaginable power hidden within his body. A power capable of destroying the world itself. Many old acquaintances looked at him with complicated emotions. Lu Qing and Lu Fei from Jianan Academy stared at him in disbelief. Back then, Xiao Yan had merely been a fellow student whose strength was comparable to theirs. But now he had become the strongest expert on the continent, worshipped by countless people like a god. Others who had known him in the past also sighed emotionally as they witnessed his incredible transformation. The experts of the Hun clan were equally shocked. None of them had expected Xiao Yan, who had disappeared for over half a year, to return as a Dodi. The person most affected by this revelation was Hun Tiandi. Standing upon the blood lotus, his blood-red eyes shook violently. He repeatedly muttered that it was impossible before suddenly roaring in anger. To reach the Dodi realm, he had sacrificed countless lives and paid an unimaginable price, only to discover that someone else had reached the same level. Even worse, that person was Xiao Yan, someone he could have effortlessly killed just a year earlier. The frustration and imbalance in his heart nearly drove him mad. Xiao Yan merely smiled and calmly stated that Hun Tiandi was not the only person in the world who had advanced to the Dodi class. A colorful fire seal shone upon his forehead, releasing mysterious fluctuations that even accelerated the flow of magma deep beneath the earth. After regaining his composure, Hun Tiandi carefully observed Xiao Yan and sensed the aura of the Tu-Shi ancient god within him. Xiao Yan admitted that he had been fortunate enough to inherit the ancient god's legacy. Upon hearing this, Hun Tiandi immediately cursed the nihility-devouring flame, realizing that its betrayal had ultimately allowed Xiao Yan to achieve this level. Xiao Yan then looked down at the devastated battlefield and extended his hand. A beam of brilliant light descended upon Zhu Kun, who had been heavily injured by Hun Tiandi's kick. The terrifying wounds covering Zhu Kun's body rapidly healed, and he transformed back into his human form. Although relieved that Xiao Yan had finally emerged, Zhu Kun bitterly remarked that if he had arrived any later, everyone present would likely have been slaughtered. Xiao Yan politely asked Zhu Kun to rest and leave the battle to him. Despite Xiao Yan's gentle tone, Zhu Kun could feel a pressure far beyond anything in this world. Understanding that only a Do Di could fight another Do Di, he agreed and promised to hold back the Hun clan army while Xiao Yan dealt with Hun Tiandi. Looking at the battlefield and the enormous losses suffered by the alliance, Xiao Yan's expression turned cold. He condemned Hun Tiandi for slaughtering countless people in order to complete the final refinement of the D-tier embryonic pill. However, Hun Tiandi simply replied that only victory mattered and that the process was irrelevant. He declared that if Xiao Yan lost, every member of the alliance would perish. Xiao Yan calmly answered that if Hun Tiandi lost, the entire Hun clan would be wiped out. Knowing that this battle would determine the fate of both sides, Hun Tiandi ordered all members of the Hun clan to retreat 5,000 kilometers. Everyone understood that any expert below the Do Di realm would instantly die if caught in the aftermath of such a battle. Hun Tiandi's fighting spirit soared as he declared that this was the day he had become a god and demanded an enjoyable battle from Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's eyes also filled with excitement. He knew that this confrontation would become the greatest battle the Do-Chi continent had witnessed in 10,000 years and would be remembered for generations. The sky quickly emptied as everyone retreated. Xiao Yan and Hun Tiandi faced each other in silence. Neither had made a move, yet the pressure from their auras already weighed heavily upon everyone's hearts. Finally, Hun Tiandi took a step forward. The entire sky trembled. The endless sea of blood behind him began to churn violently and transformed into a colossal blood wave hundreds of thousands of feet high. Compared to it, Xiao Yan appeared as insignificant as an ant. The terrifying energy within the wave was so powerful that it could easily destroy even a peak 9-star Do Sheng and obliterate both body and soul. Facing this attack, Xiao Yan remained calm and softly uttered a single command, causing the earth below to suddenly split open. Endless crimson magma erupted from deep underground like volcanic fountains and gathered in the sky, forming an enormous wave of molten lava that violently collided with the incoming sea of blood. A world-shaking explosion erupted, and the land trembled violently as blood rain and magma rained down across the central plains like a storm. Seeing his attack blocked so effortlessly, Hun Tiandi finally realized that Xiao Yan had truly become a genuine Do Di and was not relying on any temporary external power. Without hesitation, he unleashed another technique, the blood demon heart eroding lightning. The massive blood clouds covering the central plains suddenly contracted and were absorbed into his body before exploding outward once again. Space itself shattered as enormous black cracks spread throughout the sky, and countless mountain-sized bolts of blood lightning descended like a storm toward Xiao Yan. Each bolt contained such terrifying energy that even experts like Ji Yuan and Lei Ying were deeply shocked. Xiao Yan's expression also became serious as he sensed the vicious aura hidden within the blood lightning, knowing that it could invade the body and damage one's mind. In response, endless brilliant flames surged from his body and transformed into a gigantic flame giant that towered over the sky. The giant opened its mouth, and the world seemed to fall silent for a moment before a dazzling torrent of heavenly flames erupted like a sea of fire and collided head-on with the countless blood lightning bolts. The sky exploded with thunderous sounds as flames and blood lightning clashed violently, producing terrifying energy waves that caused the earth to crack apart and shake continuously. Everyone watching the battle held their breath. The scale of the destruction was beyond words, and any one of those attacks would have been enough to destroy the Alliance headquarters and kill countless people. Watching the battle, Lei Ying nervously asked Ji Yuan which of the two had a greater chance of victory. However, even Ji Yuan could only smile bitterly. This was the first time he had witnessed a battle between Do Di, and he could not predict the outcome. He believed that Hun Tiandi might have a slight advantage in terms of experience because the Hun clan had once produced a Do Di, giving him a better understanding of the use of such power. Nevertheless, Xiao Yan had inherited the legacy of the Tu-Shi ancient god and might also possess devastating trump cards of his own. In the end, everyone could only watch the heaven-shaking battle with anxiety, completely powerless to interfere. as the fate of the entire Doqi continent rested upon the duel between these two supreme experts. Blood lightning filled the sky as Xiao Yan and Hun Tiandi continued their fierce battle. Despite Hun Tiandi's relentless attacks, Xiao Yan showed no signs of being at a disadvantage. This stalemate displeased Hun Tiandi greatly, as he had never intended for the battle to drag on evenly. Determined to end the fight, Hun Tiandi suddenly opened his mouth and unleashed a terrifying suction force. The massive blood cloud that had covered the central plains for half a year, formed from the blood essence of countless living beings, was completely devoured by him. As the blood cloud disappeared, warm sunlight once again shone upon the land. Many people became emotional upon seeing the sunlight again, realizing how precious ordinary things were when faced with the threat of destruction. However, everyone knew that the true decisive battle had only begun. After absorbing the blood cloud, Hun Tiandi's body rapidly expanded. Within moments, he transformed into a gigantic blood-colored giant over 100,000 feet tall. Thick blood light condensed around him and formed a layer of blood armor covering his enormous body. His mere presence seemed capable of destroying entire regions with a single punch. This was the legendary Blood D-Body, a true Do D-Body that could only be used by those who had stepped into the Do D realm. Ji Yuan and the others were horrified. They knew that a Do D could merge with heaven and earth itself, becoming one with the world and possessing unimaginable power. Hun Tiandi's gigantic body was not an illusion made of energy but a genuine physical body containing overwhelming strength. Yet Xiao Yan remained completely fearless. He formed several hand seals, causing the earth below to split apart. Endless magma erupted from the ground and transformed into countless streams of crimson flames that surged into his body. His own body quickly expanded until he also became a 100,000-foot giant. Brilliant flames burst from every pore of his body, turning into countless fire dragons that circled around him. This was Xiao Yan's flame D-Body. Seeing this, even Hun Tiandi was slightly surprised. However, he immediately sneered and declared that he wanted to see whether his Blood D-Body or Xiao Yan's Flame D-Body was stronger. Without hesitation, Hun Tiandi stepped forward and threw a punch. Although the attack appeared simple, it caused the sky itself to collapse as endless blood energy rushed toward Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan did not retreat. He responded with a punch of his own, driving the countless fire dragons toward his opponent. The collision between blood energy and flames was earth-shattering. The terrifying shockwaves instantly turned countless mountains below into dust. Ji Yuan and the others had to quickly erect defensive barriers. And only by combining their strength with Xiao Yan's previous flame barrier were they able to barely block the destructive aftermath. Both gigantic figures were forced backward by the collision, each step shattering space over thousands of feet. However, they immediately charged at each other once again. Their battle was not flashy in appearance, but every physical collision between the 200,000-foot giants contained enough power to destroy the world. The heavens trembled, lightning flashed, and the entire central plains shook violently. The battle lasted for half a day. Huge cracks appeared throughout the central plains, splitting the land apart and forming enormous ravines. Every living being trembled in fear because even the smallest shockwave could kill an ordinary Dosheng expert. Even experts outside the central plains sensed the terrifying battle and rushed toward the area, hoping to witness the fight. However, before they could even enter the region, the powerful winds generated by the battle caused them to cough blood and retreat in terror. At last, during another earth-shaking collision, Xiao Yan unleashed the flame mysterious explosion. A terrifying firestorm erupted, and a gigantic figure was blasted from the sky and smashed deep into the ground. The person who had fallen was Hun Tiandi. Seeing this, Ji Yuan and the others erupted in joy. Zhu Kun explained that Hun Tiandi's foundation was unstable because he had relied on medicinal pills to advance to the Dodi realm, while Xiao Yan had inherited the ancient god's power and spent nearly 3 years cultivating within the heavenly tomb. Therefore, Xiao Yan's strength was naturally more stable and powerful. However, Hun Tiandi quickly rose back into the sky. Xiao Yan smiled and pointed out that the Blood D-Body was inferior to the Flame D-Body and that Hun Tiandi's energy was already beginning to decline. Hun Tiandi's expression turned extremely gloomy because Xiao Yan had spoken the truth. His strength and endurance were gradually being exhausted, while Xiao Yan's Flame D-Body, created from numerous heavenly flames, was even stronger than his Blood D-Body. If the battle continued this way, defeat was inevitable. Unable to accept such an outcome, Hun Tiandi revealed his final trump card. With a savage expression, he declared that he would use the entire Central Plains to bury Xianxia. As he waved his hand, a stream of bloodlight shot into the ground. Immediately, countless bloodlines spread across the entire Central Plains like blood vessels. Suddenly, massive pillars of blood erupted into the sky from countless locations. Jiyu Yuan quickly realized that these places were exactly where the Hun clan had previously established the devouring spirit eliminating life formations. Zhu Kun then discovered an even more terrifying truth. When all these locations were connected together, they formed an unimaginably enormous formation that covered the entire Central Plains. This was the slaughtering Dure. Hun Tiandi revealed that the formation had been passed down since the era of the first Do-Di of the Hun clan and that actual Do-Di experts had once died within it. Using the blood of tens of millions of descendants as fuel, the enormous formation activated. Blood energy gathered together and condensed into a gigantic transparent blood blade that radiated endless killing intent. The blade had no hilt and seemed capable of splitting the entire world apart. As the blade appeared, the sunlight dimmed and darkness covered the world. Even the sun, moon, and clouds seemed to fear this terrifying weapon. To strengthen it further, Hun Tiandi gave a cruel order and commanded every member of the Hun clan to offer themselves as sacrifices. Thousands of Hun clan experts rushed forward. Without any hesitation, the blood blade flashed and instantly severed their heads. Their blood and life essence were absorbed by the blade, while their bodies withered and turned into dust. After absorbing these sacrifices, the blood blade became even more solid and terrifying. Finally, with madness in his eyes, Hun Tiandi spat out a mouthful of his own essence blood onto the blade. The moment his blood touched it, the weapon released a terrifying cry that caused everyone's hearts to tremble. The entire world fell silent because everyone could feel that this attack possessed the power to seriously injure or even kill Xianxia. Jiyu Yuan's face immediately turned deathly pale because he recognized the weapon from ancient records. It was the legendary slaughtering D-Ghost Bloodblade, a fearsome weapon that had truly killed a Do-Di during ancient times. At that moment, everyone realized that Xianxia was facing the most dangerous situation since the beginning of the war. Xianxia knew that if he failed to stop Hun Tiandi's final attack, he would certainly die. Remaining calm, he revealed his last trump card, the heavenly flame square obtained from the ancient god mansion. Standing above the square, the flame mark on his forehead shone brilliantly as he used the authority of the Flame Emperor to send his command across the entire Do-Chi continent. Asterisk. In the name of the Flame Emperor. All flames in the world obey my command. Asterisk. Immediately, the 23rd ranked mysterious yellow flame burst out from a distant mountain and flew into one of the stone pillars of the heavenly flame square. Then came the 10,000 beast spirit flame, the green lotus core flame, and one heavenly flame after another. Every time Xianxia called a name, another heavenly flame crossed space and entered the formation. The sight stunned everyone present. Xianxia appeared like the emperor of all flames, and none of the heavenly flames dared disobey him. Even the flames that already belonged to powerful experts were forcibly drawn away from their owners and summoned into the square. When Xianxia called for the 7th rank 9 serene gold ancestor flame, it escaped from Yan Jin's body despite his attempts to control it. Then the purifying demonic lotus flame, represented by Little Yi, also entered the formation. At this point, 21 pillars of heavenly flame blazed brightly, releasing an earth-shaking aura. Seeing this, Hun Tiandi began to feel uneasy. Xianxia then called for the 2nd-ranked Nihility devouring flame. The moment those words were spoken, Hun Tiandi's expression changed dramatically. It turned out that he had already devoured the Nihility devouring flame long ago and had suppressed its consciousness within himself. Fearing that Xianxia would complete the collection of all heavenly flames, Hun Tiandi desperately tried to prevent the summon. However, Xianxia sensed the truth and coldly shouted, "Nihility devouring flame, how long are you going to wait?" Asterisk. At once, black flames burst from Hun Tiandi's body. The Nihility devouring flame escaped and transformed into a human figure. Filled with hatred, it declared that even if it died, it would drag Hun Tiandi down with it. Feeling the authority of the Flame Emperor emanating from Xianxia, it willingly obeyed his command and entered the final stone pillar. As the 22nd heavenly flame joined the formation, All the fire pillars merged in the sky and formed the legendary heavenly flame everlasting ancient ruler. A divine weapon that existed only in ancient legends. Realizing the danger, Hun Tiandi immediately ordered the Hun clan army to sacrifice themselves to empower his bloodblade. However, most of them were too terrified to obey. Enraged, Hun Tiandi personally slaughtered countless members of his own clan, killing nearly 30% of his remaining forces and using their blood to strengthen the blade. The blood sword became increasingly sinister and emitted a terrifying aura. Xianxia coldly condemned him as a beast who would even kill his own clansmen. But Hun Tiandi only laughed madly, declaring that history would remember only the victor. After feeding even his own blood to the sword, Hun Tiandi launched his final attack and charged directly toward Xianxia. Xianxia gripped the heavenly flame everlasting ancient ruler and met the attack head-on. The collision between the two supreme powers unleashed a terrifying storm. Defensive barriers were instantly destroyed. Countless experts were blown away, and even the surrounding stars and meteorites turned to dust. The heavenly flame square itself was forced into the ground, creating a massive crater tens of thousands of kilometers wide. When the storm finally subsided, everyone looked toward the crater. Both Xianxia and Hun Tiandi were still alive, but their Do-Di bodies had shattered completely. Covered in blood and barely standing, they had reached their limits. Believing that Xianxia no longer had the strength to stop him, Hun Tiandi laughed wildly and declared that even if he had lost, Xianxia could never kill him and that one day he would return to take revenge. However, Xianxia had already prepared for this. He slowly raised the heavenly flame square once more, and before everyone's horrified eyes, his body began to burn. He was self-igniting his Do-Di body. Hun Tiandi's face turned pale because such an act meant destroying the physical body of a Do-Di. An enormous sacrifice that might take centuries to recover from. The entire alliance fell to its knees, understanding that Xianxia was risking everything to end this disaster once and for all. Xianxia calmly declared, "I shall turn my body into a heavenly flame and seal you forever. Let the calamity of this continent finally come to an end." His body completely transformed into a brilliant flame. Compared to it, even the other heavenly flames seemed dim, as though subjects standing before their emperor. The new flame entered the final pillar, completing the set of 23 heavenly flames. Instantly, an ancient and mysterious ceiling formation appeared on the heavenly flame square. Sensing death approaching, Hun Tiandi desperately tried to flee, but it was too late. The heavenly flame square suddenly appeared beneath him and trapped him within the formation. Countless threads of flame wrapped around his body, rapidly melting him away. In despair, Hun Tiandi roared that the 1,000-year preparations of the Hun clan had all been destroyed by Xianxia. Finally, his body disappeared, leaving behind only his Do-Di soul. The flames then formed a giant cocoon around it and sealed it deep within the heavenly flame square forever. The nightmare that had threatened the Do-Chi continent had finally ended. The people of the Central Plains erupted into earth-shaking cheers. Ji Yuan, Zhu Kun, and the others could hardly believe it. After half a year of despair and endless battles, they had finally won. Meanwhile, Xuan and Kai Lin hurried to the heavenly flame square, seeing only the pillars of flame and no sign of Xianxia. Both women turned pale and burst into tears. At that moment, a weak cough sounded, and a faint, illusory figure emerged from the central flame. It was Xianxia. He gently explained that he had only destroyed his physical body and could create another one in the future. The two women immediately rushed into his arms and cried, begging him never to risk his life like this again. Looking at them, Xianxia simply smiled. In his heart, he knew that if he had not acted, the entire continent would have been destroyed. As he embraced them, his gaze drifted toward the center of the heavenly flame square, where Hun Tiandi's soul was sealed and would be endlessly refined by the flames. At last, Xianxia looked over the devastated Central Plains and felt a sense of peace unlike anything he had ever experienced. After years of hardships, battles, and countless sacrifices, he had finally accomplished what his ancestor, Xiao Zhan, had failed to achieve. Closing his eyes with a smile, he softly muttered, "Ancestor Xiao Zhan, I have finally completed your unfinished task." Thus ended the final battle. And the name Flame Emperor Xianxia became an eternal legend throughout the Do-Chi continent. After the final battle, The central plains were left in ruins and split in two by a massive abyss that would later be called the 2D Abyss. Although prosperity had vanished, the disaster had finally ended. The Alliance army emerged victorious after Hun Tiandi was sealed. Most members of the Hun clan had been sacrificed by Hun Tiandi to create his bloodblade. And the survivors quickly surrendered. When the Alliance entered the Hun realm, they found it empty and filled with death. At its center was an enormous blood pool packed with corpses and bones, revealing that Hun Tiandi had sacrificed countless members of his own clan to achieve his ambitions. Horrified by his madness, Jiyu Yuan and the others destroyed the Hun realm completely, bringing an end to the Hun clan. Among the 8 ancient clans, only the Jiyu, Yan, Lei, and Shao clans remained. Because Xiao Yan had become a Dou-Di, the Shao clan's Dou-Di bloodline awakened once again, greatly benefiting his descendants. His daughter Xiao Xiao instantly advanced to the 8-star Dou Sheng level, demonstrating the terrifying power of a first-generation Dou-Di bloodline. It was clear that the Shao clan would eventually return to its former glory. After the war, the Alliance army disbanded, but the Sky Mansion Alliance remained as the supreme force of the continent. Xiao Yan, now known as the Flame Di, became a legendary figure worshipped by countless people as the guardian of the Dou-Qi continent. 2 years later, the Central Plains had recovered and become prosperous once more. Xiao Yan restored his body with the help of the heavenly flames and suffered no lasting injuries. He then held a grand wedding with Xuan and Kai Lin, fulfilling his promise to them. Afterward, he returned the position of Alliance chief to Yao Lao and finally allowed himself to live a carefree life. Over the following years, Xiao Yan reunited with old friends such as Lu Cheng, Lin Shuya, and Lin Yan. Drinking and reminiscing about the past, he expressed his desire to return to the Jia Ma Empire and enjoy a peaceful life. Elsewhere, Yun Yun received a message from Xiao Yan asking whether she would return to the Jia Ma Empire. Hearing this, she became emotional as memories of their time together resurfaced. In Qingshan town, Xiao Yi Xian had become a famous healer whose clinic was respected by everyone. One day, Xiao Yan suddenly appeared before her and invited her to return with him to Wutan City, causing her long-hidden emotions to resurface. At a grand auction in the Jia Ma Empire, Ya Fei had become the powerful, golden female emperor. Xiao Yan unexpectedly appeared and jokingly offered 3 billion plus 1 person, in exchange for a treasured technique. To everyone's shock, Ya Fei accepted his proposal with a smile. More than 10 years passed after the 2D battle. Although Xiao Yan had disappeared from public view, his legends only grew greater with time. The Shao clan became one of the most powerful families on the continent. In Wutan City, Xiao Yan lived peacefully with Xuan and their children. However, he began sensing something unusual. He wondered why all Dou-Di experts throughout history had mysteriously vanished and concluded that they had likely left the Dou-Qi continent. Half a year later, countless experts gathered around the Sky Mansion Alliance headquarters. As Xiao Yan meditated, mysterious fluctuations appeared in the sky. Suddenly, a beam of energy shot upward and opened a tunnel in the heavens. From this tunnel, Xiao Yan sensed something familiar, the long-lost origin qi, the essential energy needed to become a Dou-Di. Zhu Kun and Jiyu Yuan were shocked because their stagnant cultivation actually began to move once more. Looking at the tunnel, Xiao Yan's blood boiled with excitement. He realized that the end of his journey was also the beginning of another. With a smile, he prepared to step toward a new world and a new adventure.